Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Excalibur Roundtable Tech Talk. I am Mike Fuson. We're continuing our extended Tech Talk series with our friends at ConnectNow, and I'm joined by Ash Carr from ConnectNow for today's episode. Ash, thank you for joining me.
Hi, Mike. Thanks for having me.
It's always exciting to get together and to continue to dive into the ConnectNow platform. Today, in this episode, we're going to be talking about the actual linking of incidents, as well as attachments and other things that are coming through in the chat. So linking the chats to the incidents, and how that really happens, because it is, one of the things I talk about in the Sharewell service management platform is what I refer to as Sharewell voodoo, which is things that happen kind of behind the scenes, unbeknownst to the user. And it can be a series of steps. It can be something that's technologically complicated, but to them, it just appears to happen. And there wasn't much that they had to do. And this is kind of some ConnectNow voodoo that goes on where we've connected the systems together and we have the ability to actually track that chat as part of the incident, spin up the incident, track the chat as part of the incident, and work that incident from the ConnectNow side as a technician. So I'm not having to jump back and forth in order to do the things, or copy and paste or things like that. I'm able to just have the actual chat and anything that goes on within that chat as part of the actual incidents record. What I'd like to do is turn it over to you, and let's take a look at a little bit about how that works. What does that look like to the folks that are interacting with the system?
Okay. So what we have set up here is a quick scenario where a user has contacted the service desk with an issue about Outlook. And we've got an example here where the customer has sent through an attachment because we want to demonstrate that ConnectNow is able to send over attachments in these incidents. So let's assume that we're now ready to log a ticket. And for the purposes of this demonstration, I'm going to log it to ServiceNow. But we can see that this instance of ConnectNow is enabled to log to Cherwell, For Me, Footprints. But again, let's go with ServiceNow in this instance. Now, with the ServiceNow integration, we support both incidents and requests. So with requests, you can look through the service catalog, select the required items, log that request, and trigger all of the relevant approval mechanisms. But what we're talking about here is an incident. So the first thing to do is to provide a short description. It's optional, you don't have to, but it's always a good idea to. And in this example, let's use the autofill here. It's a good idea to use just a short description of what the problem is. This will be the incident title. If you leave this blank, ConnectNow will do its best to generate a title automatically. And then all we have to do for this particular integration is select the urgency that corresponds within ServiceNow. Now, for custom deployments that have additional fields, mandatory fields, ConnectNow adapts to that. So for the information that we can infer, we can send that over automatically, but we're not quite capable of magic. So anything that we can't quite gather, we just ask the agent before logging the incident. So let's now log the incident through to ServiceNow, which will take just a second. And we'll see that once it's complete, we'll get a notification in the corner, and we'll also get an incident reference. There we go. And we can see over here on the right-hand side now, this chat is logged against this incident within ServiceNow. It says new, and there's also a message here within the chat. Let's have a quick look at ServiceNow itself. Just refresh this page and have a look at the incident that's been logged to just see what that incident then looks like within ConnectNow. So we can see here there's a new one, 10068, chat ID 140. We can see there's that title that we specified. We've got the caller and various metadata fields filled. Again, for custom deployments that have things like services mandatory fields, we can populate that. We can also populate ownership, and it so happens in our developer instance here, we don't bother assigning the incidents to agents, but usually that gets assigned to the agent that logged it. We can see the full chat log here within the actual description, and we can also crucially see that attachment within the message history there as well. So from here, of course, we expect standard support practices take over. So you've got a very frictionless way of getting these incidents into your ITSM system of choice. keep the customer updated at all times. And for this demonstration, we're just going to close this chat, and we're not going to say that the issue is resolved. And in another tech talk, I believe we're going to talk about resuming chats. And what we will see is that the customer is able to resume this chat that's been logged to ServiceNow and still log all of that information to the same incident.
Yeah, and as we get into kind of talking about that, why would somebody resume a chat? And one of the things that you and I have talked about is, what does a normal support scenario look like? They may have to restart something. Perhaps maybe they've got to run to a meeting, and they want to pick this up later, because in order to do that, they've got to install something, and which is going to restart their computer. They don't want to do that because they've got to run to the meeting to do a presentation. All of these real world things that tend to happen. But as we saw in the workflow there, we do have the ability, if we want to, and again, as you indicated, we could be completely filling out the actual incident based on how our integration is set up, and we could be resolving that incident right from ConnectNow, which means we've never actually gone over to our IT service management platform, ServiceNow, Sharewell, any number of various platforms that integrations already exist for, or pick your ServiceNow, pick your platform, insert here. If it has a REST API, we will ensure that we have an integration for it and add it to the integrations list. And the workflow can be handled by the agent just from doing the normal things they're doing with chat, because many of the activities that they're doing are the same things they would be doing and talking them through it on the phone and logging that information in the system. It just takes a step away from having to jump over and log it. Now, that doesn't preclude us from necessarily them opening the IT service management system if there's other things that are part of our support practices. One of the things that, as Ash and I have worked together so extensively and so intimately on ConnectNow, the entire design and approach that you've taken, and we talked about this in an early tech talk, how did this come into being, is in your role as a service desk technician all the way up to service desk manager. You really looked at, okay, how does this happen in real world? We can talk all about, we can integrate this and make this all automatic and everything else, but that may not be how it really occurs, because each organization is going to have their own practices, and some of them can be fairly unique and specific, where they may need to take some actions in the ITSM system. In other cases, they don't need to take any actions in the ITSM system because it's just walking it through a workflow. So we have the ability to give them the process that they really require. So it's always exciting to kind of dive into this and kind of see the thought that you've really given to this as you've designed this. And that's not to say that this isn't growing. I know we've talked about some new things that are coming in ConnectNow, and that's just what's going to happen in the next month or so. And there'll be more things that'll come after that as we see what are the things that the customers really need to provide that exceptional customer experience. Ash, as always, it's such a pleasure, and thank you for joining me today.
Thanks for having me. It was fun.
All right, stay tuned for our next episode as we continue to dive deeper into the world of ConnectNow.